All right, by popular demand, we're going to go over all things spouse benefits today. If you're new to my channel, my name is Ed Weir, a former manager of the Social Security Administration. I've helped millions of people with all things Social Security, retirement, spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits. I'm going to talk about getting spouse benefits today, getting divorced spouse benefits, surviving spouse benefits, everything spouse benefits related. So this is going to take how these work is if you're watching this on a recording later, you'll see it's an hour. I don't spend an hour talking about spouse benefits. The spouse benefit would be about 10 or 15 minutes. And then I open it up during the live part of it to anybody that has questions about their particular case, making sure they're receiving all the benefits they're entitled to, or if they're about to file, making sure they're making that right decision. So um, if you're live, make sure you type your question down in the chat and I will get to it right after we talk about spouse benefits here. All right, enough stalling. Let's get started. There is an internet myth. I just got during my live Q&A yesterday, somebody asked about this. And unfortunately, so this was a Republican study committee report that they came out with, the Republican Study Committee, which is, I think, a vast majority of Republicans in Congress are a member of this. And their plan was to raise the retirement age, but also to means test spouse benefits, which means if you're making a certain amount of money, you're not going to get spouse benefits anymore. And they were going to phase it out 1% over the, several years or something. Wasn't going to be immediate drop off. But that is just a plan that one political party has. A lot of social media have picked up on it in order to get clickbait and get you to watch their thing and read their articles and stuff and try to scare you and say, hey, this is going to happen. And no, it's just a plan. Could happen if it's passed, but the old schoolhouse rock, it's not even a bill yet. It's just a committee report, a plan. So it hasn't even gone to the bill, to the law, and all that kind of good stuff. So no, spouse benefits, nothing has changed. There's going to be a lot of changes based on that new Supreme Court ruling. Some changes coming down for Medicare, and I'm keeping abreast of that. And anything pops up, I will let you know. So make sure you subscribe, and I will keep you updated on everything. And most importantly, based on my decades of inside the bureaucratic beast experience, something changes, I can tell you how to navigate the system, work the system, manipulate the system, whatever you want to put it. All right, so spouse benefits. So you can get, I'm going to break this down into talk about spouse benefits, and then I'll talk about divorced spouse benefits, and then I'll talk about surviving spouse benefits. So spouse benefits, you're currently married, okay? And in order to get spouse benefits, you have to be at least 62 years old, and you have to file for benefits on your own record first. It used to be there was a way to file and suspend that you and your spouse could kind of work the system a little bit, but that ended back in 2016. And the final people based on age that could really take advantage of that ended a few months ago. And that's another reason why there's a lot of clickbait out there, and a lot of BS out there that says, oh, spouse benefits are, yeah. No, that particular strategy is no longer there. But spouse benefits are still alive and well. So you have to file for benefits on your own record, and your spouse has to be receiving benefits as well. So if your spouse isn't receiving benefits, then you cannot receive spouse benefits from that spouse. And then your benefit amount has to be less than half of their benefit amount. And one of the mistakes we're seeing out there is people look at the wrong numbers. They look at their check and say, hey, honey, how much is your check? And says, well, my check is this. No, that's not the numbers you look at, because it might be reduced because you're taking out Medicare. One person's taking out Medicare. The other person is not taking out Medicare. One person filed early. So no, those are not the numbers. That's called, in Social Security world, it's called an MBA, the monthly benefit amount. You need the PIA, the primary insurance amount. And what's the PIA, the primary insurance amount? That's your amount if you had waited till your full retirement age. So don't look at the check amount. You need each person's PIA, the primary insurance amount. So one has to be twice the other in order to get even $1 of benefits. So if your PIA is $400 and your spouse's PIA is 1,000, that means you go ahead and get your 400, and then you can get up to 50% of that person if you're waiting until you're full retirement age. So you can get $100 because half of that one is 500. You're already getting 400 on your own, so you get another $100 from your spouse. Okay, so that's how that works. And in order to get that, you just call Social Security. One strategy people use is the lower wage earner goes ahead and files for benefits at 62. Again, if they're kind of the same age, the lower wage earner goes ahead and files for benefits at 62. You still have the annual earnings limit. There's only a certain amount you can make. And anything over that, they hold back $1 for every $2 you go over. The lower wage earner files, starts getting those benefits. And then the higher wage earner files a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. And then once they start their benefits, they call up, schedule an appointment, take the claim over the phone or on the internet or whatever. And then once they finish filing, then they hand the phone over to the other spouse and say, okay, now take a spouse claim. If you're going to do it together at the same time, then basically what you're doing is 3 claims. You have the one spouse files, the other spouse files to retire on their own record. Each files on their own record, and then hands the phone to the lower wage earner to file a spouse claim. If the lower wage earner is not insured at all for benefits, that's all right. So once the higher wage earner files for benefits, then the lower wage earner or the uninsured person can go ahead and file for spouse benefits. They do not have to be entitled to benefits on their own record. So if they never worked for whatever reason, then they can just file for spouse benefits. A lot of people are missing that. So, oh, I'm not insured, but your spouse was. So yeah, there's just too much money out there being left on the table. It's unfortunate. That's why we're doing this channel. And that's why you're going to share with all your friends and family, because you don't know who is out there that needs this. Okay, so that's spouse benefits. If you have any questions, any other questions, make sure you join my live Q&A and I'll answer. There's thousands of permutations. All right, divorced spouse benefits. So if you were married to someone and you're currently not married, you can file for benefits on that divorced spouse's record, work record. You had to be married to that person for 10 years. There is no exceptions. People say, well, that's one thing about Social Security. There's exceptions, the exceptions, the exceptions. In this particular case, unfortunately, there's no exception. There is kind of one. If you still had to be married to that person for 10 years, but it doesn't have to be consecutive. If you were married to the person for 5 years, got divorced, and then remarried the same person by the end of the next calendar year, and then married again for 5, 6, 7 years, then divorced, then Social Security can add those two periods together to make 10 years. So that is one kind of, it's not an exception to the 10 years, but it doesn't have to be consecutive. All right, and people ask all the time, so here's the frequently asked questions. Will it affect my ex-spouse? No. Will it affect my ex-spouse's new, spouse or kids or anything like that? No. You starting benefits on their record won't affect them at all. They won't even know. They won't even know because it doesn't affect their record unless you call them up and say, hey, I just filed for benefits on your record. Social Security doesn't call them up and say, hey, can your ex-spouse file? No, they don't do that. So that doesn't affect. And there's a lot of people out there that are not filing for those divorced spouse benefits because they have a divorce decree, and in a divorce decree, the ex-spouse and sneaky lawyer tried something sneaky by saying, you're not getting my 401k and you're not getting my Social Security retirement. And Social Security, that's worthless. Social Security doesn't care about that. I've taken hundreds of thousands of divorce spouse benefits, and I say, I need a marriage certificate and divorce decree. And they say, here's the marriage, here's the divorce decree. And the only thing Social Security employees look at is the names and the date of divorce and the date of marriage. That's it. They don't look at, all the rest of the stuff about, you don't get my retirement because it's not relevant. If you were married and divorced for 10 years, then you're good. So whatever it says on the divorce decree, nice try, ex-spouse, but yeah, But please, so many people out there not getting benefits. And this is probably one of the big ones. It's called independently entitled divorced spouse. People think they cannot file for benefits on their ex's record because their ex has not started Social Security, has not started their retirement. No, that is 100% incorrect. Independently entitled divorced spouse benefits. Basically, as long as your ex-spouse is 62 years old, you can file for benefits on their record. You have to be 62 yourself, obviously. So you're 62, your ex is 62, they haven't filed, they're going to wait until their full retirement age because they're still working or whatever, who cares, doesn't matter. As long as they're 62, you file for benefits on your own record, and then you file for benefits on that ex's record. A little bit more difficult because they haven't filed, so there's a couple of extra hoops you have to jump through in terms of trying to provide their age and stuff like that. But Social Security employees can help you work around that. So there's a lot of people out there that are losing those benefits because they're sitting around twiddling their thumbs waiting for their ex to file for benefits. And the same type of thing, it doesn't affect their benefits, doesn't affect children, anything like that. None of that affects those benefits. And there's a lot of people out there I get all the time says, I don't want anything from that person, I hated that person. I was like, okay, it's not from that person. You let's say you tolerated that person for 10 years and so that's your pay. It's not coming from that person. That is your benefits as a spouse if you were married to the person for 10 years. So it's not coming from you, it's coming from essentially the Social Security Trust Fund. So sometimes I win that battle, sometimes I don't. People say, I don't care where it comes from. It's, from him. So I don't, or her, I don't want it. So, but yeah, please, it's your money, get it. Surviving spouse benefits. Okay. So this doesn't have to be a 10-year unless it's a divorced surviving spouse. But if you're a surviving spouse, as long as you were married to the person for 9 months, so you're currently married and your spouse passes away and you were married for 9 months, you can get surviving spouse benefits. Surviving spouse benefits start at 60 years old. You can start surviving spouse at 60 years old. Again, the same limitations in terms of work apply. The annual earnings limit this year is $22,320. As long as you're under that, you're good. Anything over that, Social Security holds back $1 for every $2 you go over. So you can get surviving spouse benefits. And surviving spouse benefits are not up to 50%, it's up to 100%. Anywhere from 71.5% to 100% of benefits, depending on a lot of variables. When you file, when your deceased spouse had filed, if they had filed or not, that one, the calculation gets it gets a bit confusing. And there's also called disabled widows benefits. Disabled, so they're the same thing. Widows benefits, widower benefits, surviving spouse benefits, basically the same thing. Disabled widows benefits, you can get benefits as a widow surviving spouse from 50 to 60 years old. So you can get disability based on that deceased person's record from 50 to 60. From 60, you don't need to be disabled, just need to be a surviving spouse. And surviving divorced spouse, you do need the 10-year marriage requirement. So you do need to have been married to that person for 10 years. If you are currently receiving spouse benefits, or let's say divorced spouse benefits, so you're currently getting at least $100 or $100 or $200 from your divorced spouse. And when that person passes away, your benefits are automatically converted. In Social Security, they call it auto convert, where your benefits are automatically switched from spouse benefits, divorced spouse benefits, living the 50%, up to the surviving spouse benefits. And Social Security will automatically do the calculation based on your age and how much your benefits will be at that time. That's completely automatic. You don't need the death certificate or anything like that. Usually in those cases, it's automatic. You will not get the lump sum death payment. That goes to the current spouse. That whole, very exciting $255. It's been $255 for decades. But anyway, I've given out hundreds of thousands of those and nobody's ever been ecstatic about it, rightly so. One of the exceptions on surviving spouse benefits for those people that are currently married, the 9 month, there's an exception on those, a couple of exceptions on those. You don't have to have been married 9 months if that person, passed away in the line of duty in the military, or if it was an accident. So you're married to the person, and then several months later they die in a tragic accident. Then doesn't have to be the 9 months. If it's a sickness that they had when you were married, then unfortunately, yeah, there is no exception for the 9 month. So those are two exceptions. All right, so that is a quick overview of all spouse benefits. Again, living spouse benefits, current spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, independently entitled divorce spouse benefits, surviving spouse, disabled widows benefits. I've got longer videos on all of these, and come join me anytime for a live Q&A. And speaking of a live Q&A, let's go ahead and get today's started right now. I've already got a bunch of questions here. Let me get everything ready. Oh, good question. I guess I should have answered this one. Carol, thank you for excellent question. I missed that. How do you get your ex Social Security number? Perfect. Thank you. You read my mind. So you just call Social Security. And I've done this a million times. Basically what you do, when you file for benefits on your own record, you can choose what ex-divorce spouse you can get your benefits on. If you were married 3 times for 10 years, what happens is when you file for benefits on your own record, the Social Security employee is supposed to say, were you married for 10 years or longer? And you say, yes, 3 times. And then they will go through all 3 records and see where there's the most money. And at that time, you don't know the Social Security number, no problem. You just tell them that person's name, their date of birth as well as you know it, the city and state as well as you know it. If it's a very common name, sometimes they will ask, the mother's, the parent's name or the mother's maiden name or something like that. I've never not been able to find one. Somebody in live Q&A came by a few days ago, and they said they called up and it was a common name, and the person on the phone at the 800 number couldn't find it. And I said, that person's just lazy. Sorry, call again. And they called again, and the other person found it in a minute. So yeah, unfortunately, so you don't need it. The Social Security will be able to find it, and then they'll find the Social Security number on all 3 X's, and then look at the PIA 1, 2, and 3 and tell you where the most money is. So let's see here. What's that taken to? Ex died at 47, married 20. Our incomes were similar in 10s, but I made much more by 30. So my fraud benefit will be much higher than his. Worth basis of applying. Yeah, if your benefit amount, again, it's based on the PIA. If your benefit amount, your full benefit amount, your PIA is higher than your deceased spouse or current spouse, then you're not entitled to benefits on their record, unfortunately. It goes the higher one. All right. Does a 100% vet really get expedited on their SSDI claims? There's a wounded warrior that, yes, 100% get expedited. If you suffered your disability, during a war, yes, there is a wounded warrior flag they can put on your SSDI applications. But other than that, if you're homeless, there's a flag for homeless. If there's terminal, called a Terry case, there's a flag for that, expedited, but not really. But as I mentioned, I think you asked this question yesterday, there is not an expedited process, but it is expedited because most of your records are at the Veterans Hospitals Administration, and that system talks to the Social Security medical records system better. So it's not technically expedited, but they're quicker. Carol, can you just ask him? If not, just give Social Security the pertinent info. Yes. Okay. Yes, Penelope. Yes. Perfect. Thank you. Can one use a P.O. box or mailing service address to apply for Medicare and Social Security if they are temporarily unhoused? Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And then, but be advised that you're probably going to get a decision letter, and if they have any questions, they need some place to reach out to you. When Social Security, when you file a claim, then they'll ask for two addresses, your mailing address and your residence address, so you can put those down as appropriate. And if you're homeless, unfortunately, do a homeless, and then you can get through your local post office, you can do a general delivery where you set up, yeah, it's unfortunate that we have to do this, but general delivery, you find a post office in your particular area, you say, hey, do you take general delivery stuff? And they'll say, yeah. And then you tell Social Security, general delivery, this city, this state, this zip code. And then it'll go to that post office. And then you go to that post office, tell them your name, show them your ID, and you'll get the letter. Some said yes. Someone else commented another channel. It didn't matter. Yes. Yeah. It takes, unfortunately, it takes way, way too long to get a disability claim approved. The Social Security is at a 27-year low in terms of staffing. It's unfortunate. I've asked you tons of questions, but please remind everyone that every situation is different. I think you need to be clearer and slower. Okay. All right. You gave me an answer, but it was not correct because I didn't give you the exact info. Please be clear. Okay. Not sure. I think, you were on here yesterday. I'm not sure what incorrect information I gave you, but let me know. I don't think I was incorrect. I'm 59 and trying to get approved for disability. Just sent an appeal for first denial. If approved, can my wife get up half since she is 62? Yes. So you are at your reconsideration stage. So you were denied for your first one. And then you're at your reconsideration stage. Well, they will send it back to probably DDS, the Disability Determination Service, and someone else will look at it to see if the correct decision was made. But if you're approved for benefits and your wife is 62, she has to file for benefits on her own record. And then she can file for benefits on your record if you're receiving retirement and or disability. I called to file because I'm on SSDI. They said I'd have to requalify to receive deceased spouse benefits. Yeah, no, if you're on SSDI, you're on SSDI. And if you're entitled to surviving spouse benefits on top of that, has nothing to do with your disability. If you are filing for disabled widows benefits, then you don't have to requalify for the medical for your disabling condition. You just have to requalify for when that started, because when you receive disabled widows benefits, there's a 7-year period that you had to become disabled as a disabled widows benefits. But if you're just filing for regular old surviving spouse benefits, then no, it has no effect on your disability benefits. So I'm figuring you called and just talked to someone on the phone who is not a disability expert. So let's call and schedule an appointment and get your money. Could you please review the Windex benefit? My spouse died at an early age, and surprisingly, I qualified for a higher benefit under his record due to his benefit. Yeah, so there's Windex, Windexing PIA. It's a different PIA, that the primary insurance amount calculation that they use. And there's also what's called the widow's cap RIBLIM, WIBLIM, that if your ex filed early, deceased spouse, or excuse me, not necessarily ex, but your deceased spouse filed at 62, 63 early, then Congress has decided that, that shouldn't hurt you that much. So they switch you up to a widow's limb of 82.5%. And that ends at 62 and a half. But the Windexing PIA is just another way to calculate a primary insurance amount. There's DIB freeze years, and it takes a lot of calculations. So they freeze out a particular years on disability, and so they don't count those against you if you didn't work during those years for a disability. And but The best way to do it is call Social Security, have them run the numbers, and on the surviving spouse benefits, on those particular cases, the numbers are so kind of convoluted. That's the best way to do it. You call up, schedule an appointment for surviving spouse benefits. They will determine whether a WIBLIM or Windex and PIA or div freeze or anything like that is applicable. Then they will give you your numbers and say, if you start your benefits today, here's how much it's going to be. And then say, okay, if I start my benefits next year at this time, how much is it going to be? And that's when you know whether some of this stuff really applies to you in a day-to-day basis, whether you're going to get extra benefits or the benefits are going to change or they're going to increase or anything like that. SSI is making me take my Social Security and also my ex's spouse. I've heard so many different answers about what the thing to do is. Lastly, I was told last week by the SSA that I can take both. Yes, when you're on SSI, the welfare-based benefit, because it's a means-tested welfare-based benefit, and that money comes out of doesn't come out of the trust fund, it comes out of general taxation. That's a welfare-based benefit. If you have any other money anywhere in the world that you have access to, you have to take it, including Social Security. So if you're receiving SSI because of a disability, and you turn 62 years old, then yes, unfortunately, you have to take it. If you're receiving SSI and you turn 60 and you have access to surviving spouse benefits, yes, you have to take it. And you'll get both. Yes, you'll get both. I did a video on this, 2 checks. So you'll get your SSI, and if your SSI is $943 and you're entitled to $500 from your own record retirement, so they will, it's just a bureaucratic thing. They will start taking that $500 out of the trust fund and only take $443 out of Social Security, or excuse me, just general taxation. So one day they were taking $943 out of general taxation, and then the next day only $443 because you're entitled to $500 from the trust fund from what you paid into FICA. So that's how that whole thing works. All right, let's see here. Age matter, disability matters, retirement matters. I think you're doing too many videos, going too fast. That's why I do these live Q&As, and I've got over 600 videos. So Penelope, I think he's doing just fine. Yeah, that's every time I do these videos, they immediately go up as a recording. So you can go up and watch it right after this and pinpoint anything. Yeah, I get more complaints that I'm too slow. So it's, you can't help anybody. Let's see. All right. Got a lot of directors out there today. All right. Ex-spouse survivor, 60 in October, called today, phone appointment on September. I can't find my marriage certificate. Property settlement attached to divorce decree shows marriage date. Will that work? Keep your appointment. Don't worry about it. Sometimes they can use the date on your divorce decree if push comes to shove. They like to have original marriage certificate, but if for some reason you can't get it, the county clerk courthouse was burned down and everything. Yeah, that happens. So keep your appointment. Don't worry about documents. That's across the board. Never do things like that because you're going to lose your benefits. If you're eligible survivance benefits or divorce spouse benefits, whatever, call, schedule an appointment because you're protected the month you call. If you say, well, I'm going to go, I'll call in a couple of months because I need to wait till I get my divorce decree, then you lost those 2 months of benefits potentially. So call, schedule an appointment, and then start getting your documents. And if you don't get them by the time your appointment rolls around, don't worry about it. The Social Security employee will tell you. All right, we're gonna put this director on timeout. All right. If a woman is 72 and spouse is 60, should she apply on her own account? Or so if she's 72, yeah, she should apply to 70. Wow, because your benefits don't go up anymore based on delaying your retirement. after 70. So if she's 72, she better have received her benefits at the very, very latest 70. And her spouse is 60. So she has to file for benefits on her own record. And then she can't file for benefits on his record until he hits 62 to start receiving, well, until he starts receiving his retirement benefits, unless he's on disability. So yeah, she should definitely start her benefits. She's missed a couple of years there, unfortunately, if she hasn't. Can I collect Social Security disability insurance outside of US if moving permanently? Yes. If I win the lottery on SSDI, do I lose any benefits at all? No. I have Medicaid share of cost too. You'll lose that if you move overseas or hit the lottery, because SSDI is not a welfare-based program. Medicaid is. So if you move out of the country, Medicaid, you can't use Medicaid out of the country anyway. I don't think I know no doctors or hospitals in any other country take Medicaid. They can't bill Medicaid. So you lose that. But SSDI is not a means tested system. So the only way your SSDI stops is if you work any type of income from work, depending on, there's a lot of thresholds. I started filing for my survivor benefits since January. I had my telephone interview on April 15th and then submitted all my notarized supporting documents on the 22nd. Oh, the FBU. Yeah, the Federal Benefits Unit overseas. I was about to say, yeah, you should have gotten your benefits long time ago. If you're entitled, if you were entitled to benefits, you should have gotten them a long time ago. However, you did it through an FBU, a Federal Benefits Unit overseas, wherever you are at the embassy, consulate, and unfortunately, everything takes a lot longer. But sometimes they get lost as well. So I would make sure, I would call them up and confirm what's going on and confirm that it's working its way through the system. 52, disabled since childhood. Wanted to know the best way to raise my benefits payment. So you're receiving disabled adult child benefits. Unfortunately, yeah, there's no way to raise that because that benefit amount is based on deceased parents' record. Watch my video on, let me show you. I've got, let's see, let me pop it up right here. Watch this, the video on the bottom, how to live on Social Security alone. I just updated it a few weeks ago. There's over 40 different programs that hopefully will make your life easier. So check those out. Just look on obviously my YouTube page, look under videos, and you'll see that, how to live on Social Security alone. I did another one many months ago, a 4-part series. It was a lot more detail. That's when everybody complained that I talk too slow and I'm too boring. And so I can never get it right. So I just, whatever. Kathy, second half, dual military, married 20 years, got married in 1995. Okay. Dual military, not sure what dual military, served in US military and military in Denmark. Okay. Okay, let's see here. You mean to tell me there is even bickering eds group? Yeah, right. What are you going to do? If my late husband passed away in 2018, will COLA be adjusted since then or a moment I file for? Yes. COLA is across the board. As soon as Congress, well, it's not Congress. It was taken away from Congress in the early 1970s. As soon as the Bureau of Labor Statistics do the calculation for COLA, then it's automatically applied to everybody's record. So yes, COLA is across the board. You don't need to worry about that. Automatic, 100% automatic. Hi, once I apply for Social Security and collect in January 2025, my dependent kids, both under 18, will receive their allowed amount. I heard that once the kid turns 18, Social Security will ask if have any money left. Not necessarily. When they turn 18, they will automatically stop at 18 unless the child is still in high school. So they can get benefits until they graduate high school, or they turn 19 in 2 months. But in terms of um, when you get benefits like that, you're the representative payee. You or the other parent is the representative payee, and you will receive a payee report once a year that says, "Hey, last year we gave you $12,000 for kid one. What did you do with it?" And you just put down there, stuck food in their face, and put a roof over their head. Leave us alone. That's it. You're good. That payee report, there's a sad story of why that was started. An old lady in California taking homeless people and burying them in the backyard and keeping their checks. Um, so Congress said you have to monitor that. So it's mostly for kind of situations like that, or adopted kids, or stuff that there's suspicions. But natural parents, as long as the child has food in their mouth, roof over their head, new PlayStation or whatever the case may be. Yeah, don't worry about it. You're good. So people freak out about that. Just fill it out and say food, shelter, clothing, PlayStation. Bye. Leave us alone. Let's see here. Anna, thank you for spreading the good word. You're welcome. Debbie, I have known my ex's security number since I was married to him in 1970. Yeah. It's funny that how things have changed. When I was in the Marine Corps in 1982 at El Toro, California, Marine Corps Station, El Toro, Baba Black Sheep and all those guys. In the in the barracks on the outside, so everybody in the world could see on the window, it had who was there. At that time, I think it was Private Lance Corporal Weir, and then would have my social security number, and then would have the other guy, Sergeant Smith, and it would have his social security number. Corporal Rankin, his social security number. Yeah, and yeah, things have changed. All right, someone says no, you cannot get your ex's social security number. You cannot. They will probably not give it to you, but you don't need it. In terms of filing for divorce spouse benefits, you tell them the information and they will look it up and they will see if there's benefits for you. I don't think they're going to give you the social security number. You can actually, if it's a divorce spouse benefit, you can actually, I think they've taken it off. You can actually go on and Google social security numbers from deceased people. I think they stopped doing that. But yeah, they won't give you the social security number, but you don't need it. You're just looking for it for the PIA, for the benefit amount. So yeah, if the person is still living, they're not going to give you that person's social security number, but you don't need it again. So I think that's what issue Susan has. Email me that the bank account I had provided wasn't working and provided a second account. And then they said that was also not on their list. Then I gave them a third account in June and still nothing. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. I've never had that happen ever before. And I've done this a few hundreds of thousands of times. So are you the one that was overseas? I know there's people overseas right now, the federal benefiting units. I'm not sure if it's the same person. But if you are going to move overseas or something like that, and you're going to use a foreign bank account, be very careful. Social Security employees don't do this very often and they mess it up all the time. So if you're going to start your benefits, use a US bank if possible. And then if you want to, if you have to have a foreign bank, that's fine. Go ahead and give Social Security your foreign bank information, but do not close your American bank. Wait until the check definitively makes it to your new foreign bank before you close your American bank. Because what happens is you say, oh, I gave him the information, so I guess I can close out that bank. And no, because Social Security employee will probably mess it up. And so, sorry, they just don't do that very often. Once SSDI is awarded, then you can move to another country. How does the DS work? That's DS. Disability System? DS? CDR? What? Not sure. What are you using for DS? Yeah. Juan, you can't live out of the United States and receive Medicaid. It's only given through the state you live in. Correct. Wow, Susan is freaking out about not being able to get her ex's social security number. Yes, yeah, I'm not sure why you want his social security number so bad. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see if there's any questions. Dr. Ed, I don't think you answered taken took correctly. Her ex is deceased. All right. If I didn't get it correctly, taken took, ask it again. Yours, the comment is pretty much gone. All right. Go ahead and ask it again if I didn't. All right. Penelope, no, I was told if I decided to file now for my surviving disabled spouse benefits on my deceased ex-husband, I would have to go through the whole claim of being disabled again to get it. If you're, yeah, I think this is the same question. If you're, filing for disability based on the same disability as a disabled widow's benefits, then it's the same disability. The only issue is when you became disabled for the disabled widow's benefits. If you were disabled within a certain time period of the deceased's passing. All right, let's see. Got other questions here. We just got married. I have 2 stepsons. Will our marriage result in termination of the kids' EBT? Yeah, the food stamps, it really depends on how much, now that you've changed your household composition. If, like, for instance, if you married someone that's making $1 million a month, then yeah, your food stamps are going to stop. Let's see here. Someone says that's even the same when you change banks in the USA. Yes, good point. Usually Social Security don't mess those up that often unless they mistype a routing number or something like that. But that's always a good idea to not close your previous one until you're confirm that the one to the new one. But let's see. It's got one in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. Can you explain Medicare? I know they don't cover everything. What will cover everything? So when you get Medicare, Part A and Part B, Part A covers the hospitals. That's 0 premium per month for most people. Part B covers the doctors. And there's a premium for that, $174.70. But there's a lot of gaps. The big one is the Part B co-insurance. So Medicare pays 80% and you pay the other 20%. So if it's a $100,000 bill, you have to cough up $20,000. So that's why people get either a Medicare supplement plan or a Medicare Advantage plan. And each of them, I've done many videos on either of those. It really depends on your particular situation. Medicare supplements, they cover everything original Medicare does. Medicare Advantage, you've got the prior authorizations and networks and all the rest of it. So it really depends on your particular situation. When you're ready, when you're signed up for Part A, Part B, it's best to reach out to a broker. Agents, traditionally a captive agent, they work for like one company, XYZ Medicare company. And if you call them, guess what? They're going to recommend XYZ Medicare company. So a broker works for you and is contracted with multiple companies in your particular area. And because there's so many people out there that weren't doing things correctly, I put together my own team. So if you need help finding a Medicare plan, Medicare supplement, Medicare Advantage, or anything like that, make sure you reach out. And let me put the link there again. I've got this, just click on the link that says more help and you can request assistance. And on there, you can also request, there's going to be humongous changes next year in 2025. There's already a bunch of new regulations and laws that have passed that are going to change plans for next year. So it's very important that you check your plan when the new ones come out in October. And if you click that link, there's a little option there where you can click it and says, hey, I'm good now, but put me on your list for October. And we'll reach out to you in October and compare what you have with what's available next year. All right, I'm jumping around here. Got a lot of people just, let's see, let me look for people that I don't recognize that haven't asked a question yet. I recently applied for a surviving divorced spouse, but thought I was eligible for 100%, up to 100% of the benefits he was receiving, and could apply 4 months earlier my fraud due to his death. So yes, you will receive up to 100% if, depending on when the deceased passed and whether they were receiving disability or early retirement. But if they waited till, let's say, their full retirement age, and you wait till your full retirement age, you will get 100% of the benefit they were receiving, minus your own. If you're already receiving benefits on your own record, you'll receive the difference. So if you're receiving, $500 or $600, and you're entitled to $1,000 on them, you'll continue to get your $500 or $600 plus an extra $400 or $500 from their record. Let's see here. I'm 50. Can I continue to keep my Medicaid when I start to collect Social Security disability? It depends on how much your disability benefit is, the check amount, because Medicaid is a welfare-based benefit. And if you get $2,600 from disability, then your state is probably going to kick you off of Medicaid. But each state is a little bit different. They do things differently. So when you get that money, make sure you contact Medicaid in your state and say, hey, I was just awarded Social Security disability insurance. And it's good to be above board, because they will eventually find out. The two computer systems will eventually talk to each other. Hi, I'm having a hard time getting an appointment for divorced survivor benefits. Can I just show up to my local office and wait to be seen? Do you recommend this? Mine was the third busiest office in the country, but my policy in my office is, if you got in the door at 4 o'clock when we were closing, then we would help you out that day. But some offices, unfortunately, they don't do that. I think that's bad customer service. But it really depends on your office. But yeah, you can just go down there and demand and say, I don't want to do a phone appointment. I want to talk to a human being face to face. And they should take care of you. And if they don't, say, well, all right, then I will go contact my congressman, because you're giving terrible customer service. And hopefully their congressman that's their job, is to make customer service better in their local offices. But some don't want that to happen. I sent a message asking if I paid for a consult with you, if you could give me real numbers. Can you do that without Social Security numbers? I honestly need real numbers to decide to collect. Yeah, no, as you can see, when you try to schedule an appointment, 99.9% of my help is free through these live Q&As, all of my hundreds of videos. But I do these consults, one-on-one, that I charge for to support everything else. And I specifically put down there that I don't do manual calculations, because they're all useless. If you want real numbers, nobody in the country can give you real numbers but Social Security. There's companies out there that will charge you $300 or $400 to give you real numbers. And then when you take it into Social Security, because I've seen those and I'm like, yeah, that's cute. No, call Social Security, schedule an appointment and say, I want to file. And they will give you the accurate real numbers. And at that time, I always recommend, okay, what are my real numbers for this time next year if I wait a year? And then they will give you your real numbers. And then you decide at that time, all right, I'll come back next year. Bye. And that's it. That's how you do it. Don't pay someone hundreds of dollars to give you, projections based on whatever computer program they came up with, because they don't have your PIA, your primary insurance amount. So it's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. All right, let's see. See the other questions. Hello, I'm 62 and a half, macular degeneration. I lost my vision. What should and it stops there. Yeah, if you're 62 and a half and you're essentially blind, then I would definitely file for disability benefits. And since you're 62 and a half, you have another option as well. If you need the money, you can't wait for the 6 to 9 months at least for your disability claim to be decided. You can file for retirement benefits and start getting those retirement benefits while you're waiting for your disability decision. But be aware that depending on your onset date, when they determine your onset date for your disability, if you have had taken early retirement checks, that might reduce your disability monthly benefit amount, but just by those months. So, all right. All right. Robert Redman. I says I've never answered. I've answered a bunch of your questions. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm getting hundreds of questions here, so y'all have to be a little patient there. I appreciate it. You can also get a copy of your ex's birth certificate. Yes, yes. Well, it really depends on some counties are very particular about that. You have to show them why you need the birth certificate and stuff like that. So is that your question? And I got another one here for your ex's Social Security number should be on your divorce decree. No, I don't think I've ever seen them on divorce decree. Well, yeah, I have seen them on divorce decree, but not very often. Let's see. Hello again. Thank you for answering my question. Perhaps I wasn't clear enough. I turned 62 last year, applied for Social Security, didn't include my husband because we are separated. Should I reapply? Doesn't matter. Separation means nothing. You're still married. So if you're 62 and yeah, you shouldn't reapply because you're already receiving benefits on your own record. What you should do is you should submit a new claim for spouse benefits. If he is currently receiving benefits, he has to be receiving benefits, and his benefit is PIA, his full benefit amount is twice your amount, then yes, there's money there and you should apply for it. So being separated is not an issue. Someone said, I waited in line 3 times, not that bad in midday. Yeah, never go on a Monday. Never, never, never go on the day after like a 3-day holiday. And then, some people like it first thing in the morning or something. So it really depends. I'm disabled survivor. I'm 51 years old. I'm ever eligible for my own Social Security. It depends whether you paid into Social Security, the 10 years. If not, if you're not entitled to benefits on your own record, and you were, married to the person for the appropriate time, whether survivor, divorced, then you could be eligible for benefits on that person's record. Eleanor, I'm 71 and working 2 jobs. My Medicare card only has Part A. When can I get a card that has A and B? Should I get an Advantage plan now? So if you are working and have health insurance from work, that's why I assume you haven't got Part B because since you turned 65, you've been working and receiving health insurance from work. If that's the case, then and you're going to continue doing that, then don't waste the $174. Don't waste money on Part B when you don't need it. However, when you stop working and you stop receiving health insurance from current work, yours or your spouse's, then sign up for Part B. And then you have the option of a Medicare supplement plan or a Medicare Advantage plan. And it really depends on your particular situation. I always recommend Medicare supplement, either a plan N or G, because I don't like the networks and pre-authorizations, but that's only if your budget, you can work it in your budget. If not, then Medicare Advantage, over 50% people choose Medicare Advantage plans. And I'm going to do a video tomorrow on Medicare Advantage, the benefits and drawbacks of those. So those are your 2 options. Let's see here. I have been on SSDI since 2017 and have 1 CDR in 2021. So CDR is continuing disability review. They will have another one in March. I have not received a CDR letter. You will not have it. Yep, they stopped it. The new commissioner stopped CDRs, continuing disability reviews, for until the end of the fiscal year, because Social Security is so understaffed. So they said, hey, don't do CDRs, work on the backlog of initial disability claims. So you will not have a CDR. The soonest you will get it is, October of later this year. Beverly, thank you for sharing knowledge. Yeah, I appreciate it. No option for phone appointments with survivor benefits. You have to call, get appointment, and do it in person, but no appointment available. So I would just show up. Docs need to be verified. Yeah, that's, I guess that particular office doesn't have, yeah, that's just that particular office. My office, and I've never heard of an office. Yeah, that's bad customer service, if you ask me. So if people can't make it, they live out in the country and it's too far, they don't have transportation, you're forcing them to come down. That's bad customer service. Kathy Zhu, thank you for service to our country and for sharing your knowledge. Yeah, I appreciate it. All right, Robert. My disability app was approved a few years back after my first application for SSDI. I was so thankful, and lucky. Awesome. Awesome. Let's see. Got any other question? Just applied for SSDI. Could I go to the local Social Security office and find out my projected monthly pay? Yeah, they should have told you that when you applied for SSDI, when you applied for it. Yeah, I would call them up and say, yeah, I've, filed, and I just want to find out, how much I'm possibly going to get if I am approved. Excuse me. All right. All right. Since I'm losing my voice, it sounds like here, I'm going to call it a little bit short. We're about an hour, and I know there's a lot of a lot of questions left over, but I will be back again tomorrow, and we'll talk about everything to